Hi and welcome back, audio editors. Today's video we're going to talk about audio. You'll notice I said audio editors when I started this off. Audio is a thing that is far underappreciated and given far too little attention when editing videos. So we're going to spend some time talking about that. Let's get to it. As I often tell my students, one of the most important things in a video is the audio. It is given way too little attention in videos, and it is one of the biggest things that will separate your video from being a professional and an amateur video. So let's talk about just a few basic tools in Final Cut Pro that you can use to edit and correct and sweeten up your audio. So let's get to it. If I select a clip, you'll notice at the very bottom of this clip there's a line representing the audio. There's right now it's set at 0 dB, which means it's set at nominal. It has not been increased in volume, it has not been decreased in volume. 0 does not mean the volume is nothing, it means it hasn't been changed. That's an important thing to remember. So if I would like to change the audio level in this entire clip, I can click and drag it up or down, and that will change the audio in the entire clip. Easy enough. Another way to do the exact same thing is if I go over here into my inspector. It might, when you click on it, come up showing your video properties, but if I click on this little speaker, it shows me my audio properties. And the very first thing listed here at 0 dB is my volume level. So I click on this little slider, drag it left or right, and you'll see it changes my volume for the entire clip, which is great. There are times you want to do that, but what if I want to change not the entire clip, but just a tiny little piece in that clip? Say maybe from here to here, for whatever reason I want to increase the volume. Clicking and dragging on this bar will not do it. It will do the whole clip. So what I need to do is come over here to learn a new tool. Drop this down. We have learned the select tool and we have learned the blade tool. Now we will be using the range selection tool. Range selection can be selected by pressing the letter R. So when I press the letter R, I get my range tool, and with this I can select just a portion of that clip. Say I want just this much to have the audio increased or decreased. I select it with my range tool, and when I move my pointer back down over here, just that portion is changed. Let me zoom in so you can see it a little bit more. So you can see it put a keyframe at the beginning and the end of the fade in. Let me get back to my select tool, and one here at the beginning and end of my fade out or fade up, and this is the case. Even though I don't have my range selection tool selected anymore, if I come down here I can still drag this up or down if I click on the middle of this point. If I come to the end of it, say I want my fade up to be longer, I can drag my end point. If I want them to be shorter, I can drag it closer or farther away, and that will do it. If I have mouse over this and the tool looks like that, the arrow with the little diamond on, it will move just this one clip or this one point, not both of them. So I can modify the beginning or end any one of these clips. If I want to select more than one, I can click one, I can hold down my shift button, click the next one. You notice both of them are selected, so when I drag, it will move both of them. So you can put all four of these in here with the range tool in one click, but then afterwards you can go in and modify beginning and end points. I could even also change the level here. Maybe I want it louder or shorter, and it will change this one, but not that one. So as it goes over time, my level will go louder. If you notice, as I mouse over, watch the volume slider, it will represent what the volume is doing over time. So you can see it is increasing or decreasing as you want. So that is how you can modify your audio using the range tool. One other thing that you might want to do is, it is very common in videos for audio of a clip to extend past the end of it or past the beginning of it. It's called a J cut or an L cut. What that happens, you often see, say it's a dialogue between two people and one person is talking and the second person is listening. You might see the first angle with the camera on them, but before they finish, you might see the camera cut to the second person to get the reaction of what they're saying. So the audio from the first clip continues into the second one. The way Final Cut Pro is here, we have our clips tied together. So if I wanted to extend my audio and I clicked and drag, it would actually extend the video and audio, which is not what I want to have happen. So the tool that we have that can help us with that, drop this down by double tapping on the clip. There's two options, expand audio and detach audio. We'll talk about detach audio first. If I select on that one, you'll notice the audio portion of my clip has dropped down. What has happened with detach is they are separated, they are no longer connected. So if I were to move this audio, it goes by itself. There are times when you would want to do this. Let me undo that. But you also need to be very careful with this, because if there's dialogue over it, suddenly it will look like a bad overdub, and you're not necessarily wanting that to happen. So be very careful using the detach tool. I will undo that and reconnect them. That is where the other tool will come in, the expand audio. You notice it drops it down as well, but audio and video are still connected to each other. So if I was to move this clip earlier, the audio would move with it. I will undo that. This is where you can extend your audio at the beginning or at the end of it. So if I moved my mouse over here to the end of it, you'll notice it changes just like if I was over my clip. You see it has the little timeline or the little video image beneath it. I move it down here. It doesn't have that. It's just your little bracket with the arrow pointing left and right. If I click and drag this, it extends the audio however long I want it. This might be nice if I have some background audio, like I was outside and I wanted the audio from this clip to extend underneath this to give it continuity. I could do that. So that is one way to extend audio, and you can do it beforehand as well. Maybe I want it to have a little bit there so I can fade it in. That is one way that you can have your audio extending past the beginning or the ending of your video clip. Very, very handy to be able to do that. So that is done by selecting expand audio. When it is expanded, you'll notice this changes to collapse. So if I select collapse audio, it is put back up with that clip. Now what you need to know here is the changes that I made to extend it beyond the beginning and end are still there. You just can't see it. So you need to be very, very careful when you're doing this to remember, oh yeah, I did extend my audio past the beginning and the end. If I expand it again, you'll see those changes are still there. So I would recommend not collapsing it if you extend the beginning and end, because that can add confusion, wondering where an audio source is coming from that's adding that you don't want. So I would just leave it collapsed like that. Now, one other thing that I need to point out is how to fade audio in and fade audio out. I could get to the very beginning of this clip, have it selected, and I could go up here and I could click on this and add a keyframe from my start point, and maybe go to here and add another keyframe to add another point. So I could add keyframes here to do that manually. There's an easier way to do that. Let's talk about that. If you notice right here at the beginning of the timeline, when I mouse over that audio clip, you see a little pin show up right there. If I mouse over that to where it changes from bracket with the arrows to just the arrows like that, and click and drag, I am now creating a fade in. And what it does is it goes from at the beginning, which will be negative infinity or all the way down, and it will gradually fade up until this point in the timeline, at which point it will get to the level that I have set the timeline to be. So right here it's set to 0, so it will fade up to 0. In audio, it's important to remember that 0 is also called nominal. It means my audio hasn't been changed. It doesn't mean the volume is set to 0 and turn the whole way down. It means it is not turned up and it is not turned down. It is exactly as it came in. So that's the difference. A lot of times if you think my volume's at 0, you think it's turned down the whole way. It is not the case. It doesn't mean it is not changed. So if I have this set to negative 17 here, it will fade up to negative 17. If I have this volume here set at plus 12, it will fade up to plus 12. So the fade in goes to whatever your audio level is set to there. You can do the same thing at the end of this audio clip. I can fade it out. And however long it is how long it will do the fade out over time. It is not represented up here in my volume bar, so the volume for the clip is not changing. It is just doing a fade out. So don't go looking for that to show it to you. That is how you can easily do a fade in and fade out. There are a couple of types, actually 4 types of fade ins and fades in and fades out. Anyway, with my mouse over the fade in tool, if I double tap or right click, depending on if you have a mouse or trackpad, you'll see 4 options. By default, it is set to plus 3 dB. What that means is the fade starts slow and then picks up as it goes over time to where it is fading fast at the end. If I do minus 3 dB, it starts its fade really fast and then slows down as it gets to the end. If I do S-curve, it has both. It starts fast and then slows down and then finish fast. And then, of course, linear means it does it the exact same rate from beginning to end. A lot of times if I'm using a fade in music at the beginning of it or ending something, I will use linear. If I have, say, 2 songs that I'm doing cross dissolve through, I will do both the +3 and the -3 dB. My suggestion to you would be that you experiment with them. If you have 2 pieces of music and you are bringing them in, just play around with the +3, the -3 dB, and see what sounds most natural to your ear, because that's what you're mixing to. Your ear, what sounds the best. So that is how to do fade real quick, fade in and fade out. Most professional videos, you put a fade in and a fade out on every single clip. I know that seems like a lot of work and it can be tedious, especially if you have tons of edits, but it gives you the most natural sound in your audio, and there are less abrupt changes. A lot of times if your audio is going, especially if there's a hiss to it and it stops, it's very noticeable and very abrupt. So if you have a fade in or a fade out, then it is not as noticeable and it will not be a distraction for your listener, because in your audio you want it, whatever you do, to not be a distraction and detract them from what is happening in the story. Like these great pictures of the flowers and the trees and more flowers. So that is basic tools for audio editing. You have your audio where you can do it directly in the timeline. You can click and drag it, or you can come up to your volume bar in your inspector. You can use the range tool. The range tool, again, is selected by hitting the R key, or you can go to this drop down and just select range selection right there. That will give you the option to do it right in the middle of a clip, so you can do just a partial edit on a clip. If you want to extend your audio past the end or past the beginning of a clip, you right click on that clip and select, or now it's set to collapse, you would right click and select expand audio, and that's how you can extend a clip past the beginning and the end. And then you can put fades in and out, which I would recommend doing on all clips. It really cleans it up a whole lot. So that is audio editing in a nutshell in Final Cut Pro. I know it's a very few tools, but using those tools to their fullest will help you achieve a more professional sounding video and help separate your videos from the amateurs, and which is what exactly we want. All right, thanks for your time watching this. I hope it was helpful. If you find it to be helpful, please click on the like. That helps me out. If you would like to see more of my videos, you can follow my videos on this channel, and feel free to share them with anybody who you think it might be helpful. If you don't want to click like or subscribe, that's fine. I hope, like I said, I hope they helped, and I hope that you enjoy them, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks, I'm out.